What's up, everybody? Welcome to this month's subscription box. This is one that I've been waiting to do for a very long time. And without further ado, let's go ahead and unbox it. So what makes this month's box special is that it's the first one that is not a glowstone ring with the traditional ring blank that you're used to. So we're trying to break the mold, try to do some new different things, and it's kind of challenging because everyone's got different tools, everyone's got different equipment, and so you really do have to include as much as you can in order to make sure everyone's going to be able to make the ring. So that's what's been so tricky up to this point, but I think we've done a really good job of getting these available to you guys, and I think everyone should be able to make these. But don't worry, we got you covered. If you can't make this, make sure to talk to our customer support team, and we can swap you out for any of our other past boxes, so we'll make sure you're taken care of there. But this ring is the Spider-Man ring, or the spider ring. I think it looks really cool. We've got that whole red, blue, and white theme going on. And then you'll notice the whole thing is flanked by carbon fiber. It's amazing. It's a really cool looking ring. And we're sending you enough material to make 2 rings. So just trying to send you with as much value as we can, because especially materials wise, this is a lot more simple of a ring. And then another big challenge was the hole saws. So of course everyone is a different ring size, so you can't just include one size of hole saws because people would be spending half their entire life over here sanding this thing to finish it up. So we've included hole saws that should really well match up with your size. And so I'm a size 8. So I've got 16 millimeters for the inside and then 28 millimeters for the outside. So what that's going to do, it's going to allow me to cut the inner diameter here as well as the outer diameter. I'll be left with a ring blank that has plenty of room so that I can sand through any scratches or imperfections, but not so much that I'm stuck here sanding for, all day long. So that's nice. As usual, we usually like to try to include a sticker or two, so we threw that in there. And then this is new. This is a brand new product that, as of recording, we don't even have it officially available yet. You guys are kind of going to be our testers for this, so if you got any feedback, we'd love to know. This is a really cool polish that we've had a lot of help getting developed. It is a fantastic all-in-one paste that will allow you to pretty much bring a wonderful high gloss shine out of even like as low as, I want to say like 500, 800 grit. That's a little bit aggressive. You definitely probably want to go up to 1,000, especially when you're first trying it out. But this really is a great polish. I think you guys are going to love it. Anyways, guys, that was kind of a long intro. Sorry to bore you with that, but it was just a lot of new stuff here. So I hope you like it. Anyways, let's go ahead and get on with the process of the whole thing. As always, I've got my dust mask here. See, well used, well worn. I like to use that. I like my lungs. And then just a face shield. Don't want anything flying at my face. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take these hole saws over to my drill press. I've got some water here. This is like a special spray bottle, but you could just poke a hole in top of a Dasani water bottle and spray water out. So you don't have to get too fancy. What we're going to do is clamp this piece onto the drill press. I'm going to cut out the inner diameter, the outer diameter. I'm going to have a ring blank. You can use water all throughout that time to not overheat the hole saws or the carbon fiber. You can ruin the resin that this is impregnated with, so it's important to keep it cool. Then we're going to go through all the sanding steps. I'm going to use some really rough sandpaper to begin with. I'm going to go through all the different grits, and we're going to finish it with this nice polish at the end. That should bring out a really cool shine, and we are going to have an amazing ring. I can't wait to show you guys. All right, now before we get drilling, I've got 2 things that I want to talk about. The first is this layer of plywood you see here. There's a really good reason that I'm using this, and it's because it leaves us with a really nice flat surface here. And the reason you want that is because you want the carbon fiber to lay flat against that. And then the reason for that is because as you drill through this, if there's no support on the bottom of the carbon fiber here, it's going to punch through, and sometimes the bottom layer or 2 can separate off, and that is definitely not a good thing. You do not want the carbon fiber cracking, obviously, and so you want to have some good support behind this just like a fresh spot of plywood. I always move my plywood around just so I can always have a nice clean flat spot. That's going to prevent that tear out that I was talking about. And then the second thing is just kind of a bonus. What I would recommend is grab a little drill bit like this. This is probably about 1/8 of an inch. And you're going to be able to make a bead out of your first inner diameter hole saw cut. So that's just kind of like a little freebie bonus. If you want to make something out of that inside rather than having it go to waste, make a bead out of it. So first, I'm going to drill through with this. Should be pretty straightforward and simple. Then I'm going to be cutting through with the inner diameter diamond hole saw. Very important to do the inside first because there's no way to clamp down the outside once you've cut that unless you've got a lathe. And then once we've cut the inside diameter, I'll go ahead and do the outside diameter. And then another thing to note is that it's very, very important not to have your carbon fiber or your drill press work table move around at all. And so I've made sure that I've got this clamped down very tight here. Then I'm going to make sure to clamp down my carbon fiber here really well as well. And you'll see in a lot of my videos I just use these clamps and they work for the most part and it should hold it in place pretty well. But as you can see, you can get it to wiggle if you really try. So what I'd recommend, especially if you're just starting and especially on this design where it's very important to have it concentric because there's not a lot of wiggle room, is I would get something more like this C-clamp here and I'd just crank it down pretty tight. The carbon fiber is very strong. As long as you're clamping it right, you shouldn't have any problems there. So C-clamp will work, vice grips will work. And if you just have these pinch clamps, just throw 2 of them on. Just do your best, make sure it doesn't move. Anyways, let's go ahead and get to the cutting. So, what I like to do, especially when I'm using like a new hole saw size, for example, I just like to lightly put in my bigger outer diameter hole saw, just to line everything up, make sure that I'm cutting where I want to, and just make sure I'm using my material efficiently. So I like to put it right up on that edge. There we go. Now I'm going to take my C-clamp here and go ahead and tighten onto this. It's not going on straight. There we go. And I'm just making sure I've got enough clearance so that this big hole saw doesn't touch the air. What you don't want to do, and I've done it before, is have your small hole saw in here and then put your clamp down, and then when you go to do the outer diameter, sometimes this will interfere with it. Then you have to take it off, reposition it, and then you're not going to have it centered, obviously, so that can ruin your ring. So just make sure to check all your clearances first with the big one. Make sure this is on there nice and tight. That is super snug, way better than those pinch clamps would have done. Now I know that I can proceed. And one thing, I wasn't going to do it, but I guess I'll go ahead. Just a little tip. What you can do once you're to this point is just turn on your drill press and just go down about 1 millimeter with this bigger outer diameter hole saw. What that's going to do is it's going to leave you kind of a template to go back to in case you mess anything up. If you slip up any of that, it'll fit and your hole saw will notch down in there once you've got it aligned perfectly. So especially if this is your first time, I definitely recommend doing that. Now I'm going to go ahead and put on my mask, not talk, and then go through here. And then, like I said, I'll do this drill bit, do the inside diameter, then do the outside diameter, and I'll check back in with you once I've got my ring blank ready to go. Now that I've got the bead blank and the ring blank cut out, I like to take a Dremel and just trim off any of those rough protruding edges. All right, now I've got the blanks ready to go, and what I like to do is I chuck them up in my lathe, and then I use a really rough bit on my Dremel, and I worry first about the width of the ring. And so right now it's quite wide, and I like it to be a little bit slimmer, especially where my ring size is a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna trim down both of those edges, just try to make it even, and then go for about a 10mm thickness I usually like, but it doesn't matter, I'm just gonna do it by eye. And then the inside diameter, that's where I really need to worry about dimensions, so that's where I'm gonna get out the calipers, and then I'm gonna stop at about 0.3 of a millimeter before my exact ring size. And then from there, I'm gonna switch over to sandpapers to get to my final size. And then I'll just use a bit of the polish to shine it up, and we should be good to go on the inside. Then we'll worry about the outer diameter. Just a quick tip for you guys, while you're sanding, make sure you flip the ring blank around a couple of times as you do it. That way you'll avoid putting a conical shape into the ring, and you can avoid risking the chance of your ring kind of having a conical shape to it. You want to make sure it's nice and even. Also, I just thought I'd mention, if you notice a tool that I'm using that you don't know what it is or you don't know where to get one, just check our Patrick Adair Supplies affiliate store. It's just on patrickadairsupplies.com, and we've got links to all sorts of products, and most of them are available on Amazon with Prime shipping even. And whether it's a Dremel or Dremel drums, anything like that, we should have it listed on there, and if there's any confusion, that should just make it really quick and easy for you. Now real quick, before I start the actual sanding, I just want to go over everything I'm using here. So first, I'm going to start off with a really gritty 100 grit. You guys see that I normally start off with 220. I like to do this on carbon fiber because it just saves a little bit of time. I like to round off the edges a little bit, make sure the ring's nice and comfortable to wear. And then I switch to the 220. I spend a lot of time here because the 100 can leave some pretty deep grooves, and so you want to spend a lot of time on 220. And then from there, just really standard. I've got my booklet here that I use all the time. Got 500 grit we start out with, then I go to 1000 grit, and then 1200 grit. And I usually cut off a piece about this size to do the inside of the ring, and then I'll cut a piece that size to do the outside of the ring as well. So other than that, it's really intuitive. You're just trying to make sure the ring is nice and smooth and comfortable to wear. And then we'll switch over to the polish, and that will be really straightforward. You just apply a little bit of it to a paper towel, and then you just wipe it on the ring as you've got the lathe turned on, and that's gonna give you a really nice, shiny, glossy finish. All right, I just got a dab of polish, and I'm ready to just go ahead, turn the lathe on, and I'll just carefully polish the whole inside. I'll flip it around, I'll grab another dab of polish. Actually, it looks like there's plenty of it left over on this side. Just go ahead and do this. And what's nice about this polish is it's specially formulated to have a really nice cutting action to it without requiring multiple steps. And so this is really great. It's a very unique polish. It's able to get rid of any of those micro scratches and abrasions without requiring a second step that's a high gloss finish. It just does it all in one, which is very unique and a huge time saver. All right, let's check this out. I'm gonna use a little bit of water on the other end of this paper towel here. I'll just clean this off. Let's get a nice look at this. So here's the inside. As you can see, it has a lovely shine to it, high gloss. There are absolutely no visible streaks, grooves, or anything like that. That polish does a wonderful job. Like I said, it does the cutting action and it also takes it to a high gloss. It's amazing. And I'd love to hear some of you guys' feedback. I know you're gonna love it. All right, so that's the inside finish, but let's go ahead and finish up the outside. We'll have ourselves a ready to go, perfectly smooth, perfectly polished ring. All right, so for the outside, of course, we're going to use a Patrick Adair Supplies expanding ring mandrel. These are super handy. Now, I could go ahead and just put it on there the way it is, but there is a small risk of the mandrel, just because it's hardened stainless steel. There is a risk of it kind of scratching the inside of the ring, and we just spent so much time making it look nice, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a layer of electric tape on here. That'll protect it. There we go. Now, need to tighten it up. Get it on there nice. And when you're using just one layer of electric tape, it's not really gonna ruin the precision of the mandrel. It still should spin really nice and true. Yeah, you guys can see right there, it's spinning really nice. So, I've got this locked in place. Tight, but not too tight, just tight enough so that it's not gonna spin anywhere. And I'm going to do the exact same steps that I did earlier with the sandpaper. So start with 100, 220, go through all the different grits, and then I'll polish it once again. So I won't get too specific about it because it's literally a repeat of what we just did. So just make sure it's got a really nice, really smooth, really glossy texture when you're finished. Another quick tip I've got for you guys, if the thickness of your ring is a little bit more than what you want, and what I usually shoot for is about 3 millimeters. You can go less than that if you want a super slim ring, but I usually don't go any more than that. So if the outer diameter of your hole saw is a little bit bigger, you might have to spend a little bit of extra time sanding your outer diameter, and you can even pick up your Dremel and quickly brush through that. But you just want to make sure that your thickness is kind of right in that sweet spot. I like to keep it between 2.5 and 3 millimeters thick. Okay, I swear this is going to be the last thing. I wanted to quickly mention the profile of your ring. You can pick and choose whatever you want. As it starts out, as it's a blank, it's going to have a really flat profile. If you want to just kind of nick the corners to make sure it's comfortable, you can do that. It'll have a really sharp professional look to it. Or you can take it further, you can round it out, you can make it perfectly round all the way. Just have fun with it. Just try to make sure that each of the halves are even. I'd say that's my only bit of advice for you. And then just do whatever you want other than that. All right, guys, time for the grand reveal and inspection. Here it is. That looks great. Love the color pattern on there. You can see how awesome that finish is. You can see how the carbon fiber throughout reflects really nice. And the inside, super smooth. I love it. And let's get, you guys know every month I like to get really picky. I like to nitpick any little thing I can find just because it's great for learning's sake. And as far as the finish goes, I would call that flawless. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot see one tiny imperfection. There's nothing. That's fantastic. And how about this? Let's do a challenge. I want you guys to try the polish that we included, and then I want you to try whatever else you've got on hand, whatever else you've tried for polishing, and I want you to see if you can beat the results. I almost promise you you can't. And at the very least, I almost definitely guarantee that you're not going to be able to get a better polish with as little of an effort as it took to use the included polish. So I want you to try it out, guys. I want you to use it, and I want you to compare it to older methods. This seriously is a huge, huge, massive improvement, and you guys are going to love it so much. I cannot wait for you guys to try this out. But other than that, let's see if we can find anything. So I can see there's some really faint little kind of scratch marks on the edge here. I think the way I did that was when I was doing the inside of the ring, I gave it a really awesome polish on the outside edge here. I do not think that's when it happened. I think it was when I was doing the outer diameter that I kind of folded the sandpaper over the edge a little bit too much and scraped that edge. So I can be a little bit more careful, but you can't even really see it, you know, like it's so subtle. It's nothing major at all, but I do like to get really nitpicky. And then the pattern's a little bit lopsided. You can see there's less black here, more black here. So I could have spent a little more time and done that a little bit more even. But that's something that you're not going to notice when it's on your finger. It's going to look totally fine. So yeah, guys, I think that's everything. If you guys have any feedback, of course, I would love to hear it. I read every single comment. But yeah, that is a ring that I think is as close to perfect as possible. So yeah, I want to see what you guys do. I want to see your pictures. I want to hear your feedback, all of that. If you're not in the Facebook group already, you need to be. It's in the description. There's so much great content in there all the time. Hold up, guys. I definitely forgot to mention the bead. I completely forgot about it. So I went and finished it up using the same methods I did for the ring. It looks great. You just put a piece of paracord through there. This will be ready to go. So from one block of carbon fiber, we're able to do 2 rings and 2 beads. So not only do you get 2 projects, you get 2 of each. So this should be a great month for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't be afraid to, like this bead, you can throw this on a keychain. Don't be afraid to do that with a ring. I do that all the time. They make awesome keychains. Or just throw it on a necklace, use it as a pendant. So you can do more with a ring than just stick it on your finger. But yeah, oh, and let's see how it fits. I haven't even tried it on. There we go, beautiful, perfect fit. Those hole saws were just right for me. They should be just right for you. If they're not, let us know and we'll try to make it right. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This was a really fun video. I will see you all next month. Peace.